Well, good afternoon, everyone. Meteorologist Michael Wilhite here, WilhiteWX.com. Wanted to bring you just a quick forecast update here on our potential first accumulating snow event for many here in the lower Ohio Valley here. So let's just dive right into it. The trends in the data over the past 24 hours have been to make this a much lighter event than we saw a couple of days ago. It never, really was a big event to begin with. But there were hints in the data, even just, a day, even 2 and 3 days ago, that we were looking at maybe about an inch or two of snow for much of the area. The trend has been generally to take this more of a light coating to maybe an inch for most, and you can see that well in the data. Now that we get out of the global models and we get into more of our higher resolution data as it gets a little bit short term, we get to see this a little bit better now. And so here's the way we look. So it just looks like a cold rain coming for everybody first on Monday, and then it'll change over. So here we go into Monday morning. There's the rain breaking out down to our west. It starts to move into here by about, a little past the noon hour here into southwest Indiana and southern Illinois. You see that there is a snow component to this, and this will move our way as well. But as you go through the afternoon, southern Indiana on Monday, all in the rain zone here. So, if you're going to work on Monday, you won't have any problems, any impacts as far as travel. But as we go later on into Monday evening, that's when the snow starts breaking out. So this is about 4 o'clock or so, somewhere around there on Monday evening. And as you go 3 hours later, here you go to about 7 o'clock or so here, and you see that snow starting to overtake the area. So sometime during the evening hours, once the sun goes down past sunset there, you'll start to see snow transition over there. And then watch what the high-res NAM does. This is the model from earlier this morning, and it just sort of breaks it up. It doesn't make it as all that big of an event for us. And by the time you go well into the overnight, this is 2, 3 in the morning, a little past there, and you see the snow's starting to break up, and it's pretty much gone there, which, if that's the case, would make Tuesday morning's commute a little bit better, because you would have time for road crews to be able to get out and clear things off here a little bit. Now, the run from this afternoon that is just hot off the press is a similar thing. Here, the rain starts to break out tomorrow afternoon, but notice here, it is much slower to transition it to snow. It keeps us in the rain zone here in southern Indiana much longer. In fact, it doesn't give much snow at all for us. You're well into the overnight hours before it starts to do anything, and then it just sort of fizzles out. So the trend from this morning's run to this afternoon's run is even much less. Now, these afternoon runs don't take into account fresh air balloon data from our upper air network like the morning runs do. So these afternoon runs aren't always as reliable. So we'll see. I show you that just to say that it's a trend. Either way you cut it, I don't think it's going to be a big event. It looks like rain going to some minor snows for us. And if you take a look at the morning runs, snow totals, you see, just not really all that impressive. Anything in the blue and above is an inch or more. So you can see, there's some hints that some of us might get up to an inch of snow. But for many of us here, it's more or less just a light coating. And again, this afternoon's run took a good chunk of that away and really made it a light coating for us. So, these afternoon runs, like I say, I don't really like those as well. I like the morning and the night runs because they take into account the fresh data from our upper air network, from the air balloons that send up in the afternoon, and so those runs just don't ingest that new data. So I think this is probably a reasonable guess at this point. I think a light coating of snow is pretty likely here for many of us, but some of us could just see a cold rain out of this, if we're going to be honest. Here is my future snowcast that I promised yesterday. In general, I think most of southern Indiana, less than an inch at this point is where we're going to take it. And this does not mean, if you're in this wide area, some of you in this wide area may not get anything out of this at all. You may see some flurries or a light snow shower that doesn't even coat much of anything other than a windshield. All right. Some of you may get a light coating that you can barely measure, and some of you may get pushing close to an inch on this. It's going to vary widely across the area, but any way you cut it, it's not looking like a big deal. A little bit closer towards Indianapolis, some points northward, that's where you can actually get some accumulations of an inch or two possible up there. But for most of us here in southern Indiana, just not going to be a very big event. Looking like a light coating for most of us overall. Some of us not really seeing much of anything out of this at all. And then once you get out of that, in further points to the south, you might see a snowflake mix in with this rain a little bit, but by and large, it's just going to be mostly rain. And confidence on accumulations there, just not much. I do want to mention just really quickly, there is another snow chance later this week that the models are starting to throw in there again. Here's our event for tomorrow, the rain going to snow according to the GFS, but watch Thursday. the system starts to develop down in the Gulf of Mexico, and what it starts to ride up the East Coast, and look what it does. It's wanting to bring us some rain and snow and just kind of a little wintry mess there. It's not a really big system by any means, and then it's sort of gone after that. But there are some disagreements in the model. That's the GFS. If I show you the test run of the GFS, its model upgrade, you don't see that. Here's that same time frame, and it's all an East Coast event. It doesn't bring anything up into the area for you there. If I look at the Canadian, I believe the Canadian does have it as well. Yep, here you go. And you see the Canadian kind of has a similar idea of a little bit of rain going to a little bit of snow possibly. We're 4 days away from this right now. So the bottom line is I can't tell you whether it's going to snow or not on Thursday. Just like with this particular event that we're going into tomorrow night. It looked impressive, decently impressive, where we might get a couple of inches of snow out of this just 3 days ago. And now it's looking like a almost non-event where we're going to be lucky to get a light coating out of it. So it could be that the models are showing this, and then a couple of days from now they don't show it. It's ridiculous. We're only 4 days away from this. The model should be better than this, but unfortunately that's just the way things are. So if we start to see this, being continued in the modeling over the next couple of days, we'll take it more seriously. But just know that there's a chance of some rain. It's a small chance at this point on Thursday. Might go to some snow showers, but it doesn't look impressive at this point. We'll monitor it and see, but just know that it is there. Overall, the big story is going to be a cold rain tomorrow, followed by a transition to some snow showers as we go into the evening and overnight hours. We'll just have to trend when that happens. And overall, then, for us, not a big event at all. It looks like less than an inch, most likely, a light coating of snow for most of us across the area. That's it for this update. I'm meteorologist Michael Wilhite, WilhiteWX.com. Have a great day, folks, and take care.